Welcome back. So today in this video we will discuss about the static websites versus dynamic websites. So let's see. First of all, we have static websites. The static websites are the websites that has plain HTML, CSS or JavaScript, or you can say that only the front end. For example, we have our HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and this all forms a web page or a website. Okay, there is no processing on the back end. Simply we save our static pages on the server, and server return those pages as a response to us as they are, as we save them in the server. Nothing is changed, everything is static. Static websites are simple. For example, a portfolio site is a static website because the user data is always static, that is not going to change. Okay, so this is the example of the static websites like a portfolio. Next we have dynamic websites, which are most important one. Okay, in dynamic websites the data changes every time. For example, if you go to the Facebook, when you log in to your Facebook account, every time you refresh your Facebook page, you will see different results, different images and different videos on the pages. So that type of website is called the dynamic websites. So what happens is we have a database where our all data is stored of a website. Then on the server side, with the help of that database, we will build a web page on the server side, and then that web page is sent to the front end part or the client side, and then that build website will be converted into HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and at the end it will be displayed on the screen, which is our web page. So these types of websites are called the dynamic websites. In dynamic websites, the processing is done on the server side of the application, and simply we are converting our data into the HTML, CSS and JavaScript on the front end and displaying it on the screen. So this is the dynamic websites. Now the major difference between static website and dynamic website is that on static website there is no processing on the backend. We are not rendering or building any page on the backend, while in dynamic websites we are processing our website on the backend because our data changes dynamically. We have our database, so every time we get a different and dynamic page on our screen. As I give you example of the Facebook, each time we refresh our Facebook profile or Facebook page, we are going to get different images and videos on the homepage of the Facebook. Now you may got a question in your mind that why I have put down the JavaScript in the front end or static part, because on the front end JavaScript just performs some type of animation or other stuff, but I am talking about the dynamic in another aspect. I am talking about the dynamic in terms of data. Okay, so in these type of dynamic websites, the data is being fetched from the database, and every time we're going to get the different result, and this forms our dynamic website. Now in this type of dynamic website, we are rendering our web page or building our web page on the server side. But there is another type of dynamic website in which we process our web page or render our web page on the front end of the development. Okay, so that is called the API. API stands for Application Program Interface. What we will do is we get data from the database, we simply process that data and send that data in the form of JSON. We are not going to send the data in form of HTML, CSS or JavaScript. We are going to send data in form of JSON, and with that JSON data we can build our own application or build our own web page on the front end of the application. That's why API is mostly used in these days, because we are sending our data from the backend to front end in form of JSON. So we are not sending data in form of HTML, CSS or JavaScript from the front end. We are sending our data in form of JSON format. Okay, so what we will do is we can simply then convert and use that JSON data and organize our data and show it in form of web page, or we can also use that JSON data to use it in our Android app, iOS app, desktop application or web app, whatever we want. But in the previous type of dynamic website, in which we are rendering our web page on the backend, we are sending data in form of HTML, CSS and JavaScript and then simply display it on the web page. But in APIs, we are simply sending our data in form of JSON format, and then we can use that data in any way we want. In any platform we can use that JSON data, like Android app, iOS app, desktop application or a web application. Okay, So I hope that you understand the difference between the static websites, dynamic websites, also in terms of the API. Now API is a very huge topic, and it cannot be covered in the same course. Okay, so this course is not focused on APIs. This is only focused purely on Node.js, MongoDB and Express. Okay, and I will create a separate course for APIs, and we will build some real world projects using the APIs. Okay, so I hope that you understand the difference between the static websites and dynamic websites. So this is the end of this section. Now I hope that you have better understanding about these websites, backend or protocols that we have discussed in this section. And now we are good to go towards the Node.js. Okay, so I will see you in the next section.